So today was another prime example of how these low float movers really can put in some serious work despite what the overall markets are doing. There are two stocks that I want to talk about, one more, a little bit more in depth, and there's something very specific that I want to talk about in DTST. First, I want to go over the fact that our top movers were AGRI and DTST. I spoke about these pre-market today, and in our actual chat room, I was going through step by step my setups for both DTST and AGRI. And you can see that AGRI closed up about 61% today. It was a pretty nice mover. There was a failed head and shoulders pattern that actually took out VWAP and got very, very strong into the close, despite that it tried to take VWAP out a couple times earlier on in the session. But that's not what I want to talk about right now. What I actually want to talk about is DTST, and this is exactly what you should be looking for and at when you're trading the markets, which will give you some insight into whether or not a pattern is going to break out and trade in the direction that you think it's going to, or whether or not it is looking like it's unwinding and getting ready to move itself to the downside. Now, this did close up 47.3% on the upside from yesterday's close. It did put in some decent price action today, but what I want to draw your attention to is this. This is what's referred to as a trading nuance. And what this nuance is telling you is that there is no trend here. Price action is not going up or down. It's actually just going through VWAP. So you can see that this red chalk line represents VWAP, and you're actually getting VWAP and an exponential moving average divergence. What that means is the EMA up through here, that 9, that yellow line, it's actually moving down towards the downside while the VWAP is staying flat. And with price action just sort of chalking through up and down, this is not actually a sign of a healthy move in any way, shape, or form. It's not even a sign of a move at all. What this is this is the preamble to one of two things. And those two things are this. This is either going to be a very, very long bias trade, and this thing is going to explode into higher levels, or it's going to be the complete opposite. And this is actually distribution coming in smaller amounts, but a large overall size is being unwound by maybe a large holder, large investor, large hedge fund, whatever. I don't know, maybe not necessarily on a $4 stock. But the point is, when you see price action moving in and around VWAP, and it's holding VWAP in a very, very tight manner like this, where it's just sort of ebbing back and forth and not really doing anything, what you're getting here is important information that this thing it's either going to sell off or it's going to explode. Now, if I remember correctly, I think it was DTST that there was actually news on this, and looks like the market liked it pre-market, and all of this movement, and this is me speculating, but it's what makes the most amount of sense, is this movement to the upside is actually being unwound right through here and slowly being pieced off. You will see that price action does move towards the downside right through here midday, doing a partial gap fill, and it has since moved sideways. Again, what this could be telling you right through here is that there is some unwinding of a larger position, but it also could very well be the preamble to a big move tomorrow. So for me personally, because it couldn't take out its high of day right through here at 380, it came back down to the range and just sort of jogged back and forth before selling off. I mean, there's not a lot you can do with this, right? And now that we're moving sideways again, we're transitioning sideways into that consolidative state. The big question is, are we going to take VWAP out at 348, call it 350, get long past that 380 level, or are we going to get short and are we going to start to see some more selling below 310? So this is the way that I start to look at price action. What you will see is that, again, VWAP was not long or short, but then right through here, VWAP took a plunge. Price action stayed below VWAP for the rest of the day, double topping, now effectively triple topping. So where am I going with all of this? It's super, super, super important to make sure that you're watching what price action does around VWAP, around tight EMAs, and what the tape is actually printing and reading out to you. If we go back to AGRI, you'll actually see this. We'll get this on a larger chart here, AGRI. What you're seeing here is you're seeing a lot of the same information, and what happens with this information is that price action has a problem jumping off of VWAP. It puts in highs, right? But you can see that VWAP more or less gets flat. Obviously, for a trend-based move, we want to see that VWAP is cradling price action in terms of support, and so is an EMA, and both of them are moving to the upside. When moving averages, exponential or simple, and VWAP start to flatten out, it's because there's a demand issue, short term, or it's unwinding, or it's accumulation. It's one of the three things, and that's why it's super important to go and track your key levels on that stock. In this case, you're looking at some intraday low levels, intraday high levels, and then you're going to want to cross-reference that with some longer term levels on the daily chart. You got to understand this stuff. This is what is referred to as a nuance, and you can see that it tested highs all day. It was getting people in, testing those highs, kept failing, dropped below VWAP, and then somebody got decent pricing below VWAP, and then look what happens. Price action rips to the upside, comes back down, and then you get that same consolidation right below VWAP. Now, VWAP is important because this is where a lot of institution traders step in and say, buy me below VWAP, buy me at VWAP, because they want best pricing. And so right here below VWAP, again, and I'm speculating that this is exactly what happened on this trade, but this is common knowledge that a lot of this is just accumulation by a larger fund, a larger trader that can put a lot of capital to work, and they're trying to get best price, because look what happens after that consolidation. What happens? We jump. We take VWAP out and we move into the $3 level after hours. Super important to understand these nuances. I've talked about this in our chat room live while I'm trading. Talk to the guys about VWAP and all the sort of stuff that we use alongside that. I mean, this is the thing. These are the nuances that you want to keep yourself informed of and understand how to read price action a little bit better. And then again, overlay this with daily levels of support and resistance, overlay this with how the tape starts to print when a key level is breaking out. In this case, it's going to be 236, which is VWAP, or how it would have started to print in and around 220 and lower. These are the things you need to know as a trader. It's not just as simple as I'm going to trade a bull flag and that's that. It's a little bit more complicated than that. And then when you get these entries down properly, you can then start to map out your reward to risk ratio, which is a totally different video. I hope some of this has helped. If you actually want to learn more about this, there's going to be a link below. Join the team. Check out how we do this every single day.